Alright, what's up everybody? So periodically throughout the stream, we're going to be playing little bits and pieces of old, obscure games in the Sonic franchise, maybe possibly to introduce them to you for the first time ever. So the first one we're going to be taking a look at is actually pretty much the first Sonic game ever made, especially on 8-bit platforms. It is the 8-bit port of the original Sonic the Hedgehog. It plays a lot differently, as a matter of fact, from its 16-bit brethren, and I want to start out by showing you the demo, the on-game demo that's playing right now, just to show you how bad the game actually is at playing itself. You watch it just runs right into an enemy, and then it's going to try to jump and it's going to kill itself. So it did a great job. I'm sure it tried very, very hard. And now we're going to actually kick things off in earnest here. So it doesn't share all of the same zones from the original 16-bit game, but it does, of course, have Green Hill Zone, and that's what we're going to get started right now. So you can see that it really is a pretty good match for its 16-bit brethren. It plays a lot like the original game. It feels a lot like it, at least in terms of 8-bit. And here we go. Now, guess what? I already beat the level. Just holding right, completely off-screen, ignoring everything else. It's amazing. Look at that. I have so much skill. I don't even know what to do with it. Let's just kick back. It's whatever. Beat it. Great. Easy. So the rest of the game actually requires you to, play it instead of just holding right to win. And it actually is a lot of fun. I remember reviewing this game as one of the earlier retro reviews when I started doing that segment for TSSZ a few years ago. And I actually found it really fun. I personally think it's one of the best of the 8-bit Sonic games. Now, that was supposed to happen. You do end up going down into this part of the level here for Act 2. Now, what's interesting about the original 8-bit Sonic 1, I shouldn't have done it. What's interesting about the original 8-bit Sonic 1 is that it's a lot more vertical than most other games in the franchise. You're going to end up scaling a lot of vertical platforms, a lot of moving up and down as well as going left and right. I think I go here. And that's pretty uncommon, when you compare it to most other games that just have you going left and right as fast as you can. Now you see I just picked up a Chaos Emerald. They do kind of sit in random areas of the level, so you do have to go actually fish them out. And you can see that I kind of fell down here, so I gotta kind of claw my way back up now. But that, I think, is one of 8-bit Sonic 1's most defining characteristics. You end up doing a lot of non-traditional Sonic platforming, which is basically, moving up and down, putting a big emphasis on that, going, at a fixed pace. There are a couple fixed pace levels, similar to Mario, where you're just kind of moving right at the game's dictated pace, doing this again. And it's interesting to see a game in the franchise at all kind of adopt these ways to play it. One would argue that it's almost less of a Sonic game in that respect, but it really kind of makes itself stand out, and with the really tight controls that this game has, it actually ends up being a lot of fun to play. You can see this kind of fun overworld that the game has to establish you in terms of where you are in the game world. I believe unique in a lot of ways to this 8-bit Sonic game in particular. So I forget exactly how the boss fights work in this game. I don't even know if I get any rings for it. But we're about to find out, I suppose. Here we go. It doesn't look like I do. Get over here, you. I'm not even sure what to expect right now. I'm afraid. Is that really it? Is that all I have to worry about here? He's gonna slowly lower himself, and I'm gonna beat the crap out of him. So if you remember Sonic 2 on 8-bit, you can appreciate how relentlessly difficult that game is. Even on the Master System, where your screen is a little bit bigger. This game, I don't recall being quite as difficult. In some cases, nearly as difficult. It's a much more reasonable challenge. As you saw just there, I kind of blazed through the first zone like you would expect. It's a fun game. I really do like it. I remember giving it a pretty high score when I reviewed it a couple of years ago. Even if it is a little bit non-traditional in terms of what you would expect from a Sonic game. I believe it was developed by a different studio than Aspect, who was the kind of, wow. Remember what I said about it being easier? So Aspect was kind of the de facto 8-bit Sonic developer back on the Master System and the Game Gear. I thought he had spikes on him. And I believe this was developed by a company called Ancient, and it was the only 8-bit Sonic game to have that distinction. Nice slowdown there. I don't want to push it because I can't remember where I'm supposed to be going. Boom. So, Bridge Zone, I think, is a fan favorite zone in this game, not least of all because of its music. It has some really great music, especially in terms of Bridge Zone, which is what you're listening to right now as I blab around here. Oh, okay. Alright, take it easy. There we go. So you can kind of get a feel for how it works. The graphics are pretty good, all things considered, especially when you think about how this is more or less the first stab at an 8-bit Sonic game ever. I missed the extra life up there, but that's okay. I'm getting a lot of frame rate drops, too, if you can't tell that. You can see a Chaos Emerald down there, which I don't think I'm going to go for. And I think they're all actually the same color in this game, which is odd. So there we go. Some nice little graphical glitches and everything, but you can kind of get a feel for how the game flows. Plays a lot like its older brother, like I said, despite, you know, having some quirks and differences of its own. And this may be... Oh, okay, we're in some kind of bonus stage. I actually can't remember how this one works. And like I said, it is pretty, all things considered, you know, for an 8-bit game. Nice level of polish and detail. There's a lot of, you know, shading in the sprites. It's colorful. It's fun to look at. What more could you want, really? These different springs of different colors will launch you at different heights. That green one gave me a lot of air, but I'm not done. I wanted... Okay, I wanted some more. That's okay. You can't spin dash, remember. This predates all of that. Having been released in 1991, one of the... pretty much the first Sonic game ever made, depending on how you look at it. There were some other interesting Sonic games released in 1991, depending on whether or not I can get to them over the course of this pre-show. Spoiler alert, it is one that we've had on the Retro Review series in the past, and spoiler alert, it's really bad. Like, it's really bad. So, I'll have to put myself through that, time permitting. So you can see this is one of those fixed speed levels I was talking about that you'd most notably recognize from something like a Mario game. And again, it goes totally against what you would expect the flow of a Sonic game to be. But it's still fun. You know, this isn't my favorite level in the game, but it's really fun. It's satisfying to control. I don't know why I'm moving so slowly here, but... It likes to drop the frame rate. I don't know if it's because I'm recording at the same time. I doubt it. There's any number of reasons it could be. Now, leap of faith, there we go. There's a little bit of screen buffer there, so I can't get all the way to the edge of it. Jeez, take it easy! Didn't ask for this. Always good to have a collapsing bridge you can't completely run across. Just kind of bide your time. So there's a down arrow I collected. Just in case you're a fan of down arrows. This game's got a few. It almost feels like padding in a sense, because you're going to have a pretty short game, all things considered anyway. There's only so much you can put on an 8-bit cartridge. So it almost feels like stretching the game's length out just a little bit by forcing you to go through it at their dictated pace instead of yours. You saw how quickly I blazed through that first act in the game. But it's okay. It's not the most exciting thing in the world to watch, necessarily, but the music's nice. I'm gonna appreciate it for a second. Another one of these bridges. Are we good here? Did we do it? Have we succeeded today? Come on, come on. Okay. 2 minutes exactly. Probably one of the longer acts in the game, too. It's been a while since I played it. Well, I think we have time to try to run through the boss fight quickly before we go ahead and kick it back to the live show. Now, what are we looking at here? Remember, no rings, I don't think. Sort of a habit of some of these older games in the series. I remember Sonic 2 and its insane difficulty not having... Oh, jeez, alright. Any lives or any rings in the boss fight is what I was getting at there. Am I going to be able to do this? I'm trying to do this quickly so we can, you know, return to the festivities, but... If I go over here... Oh, man! They thought this through. So we're going to go on the side that he's right next to. We're going to try not to be opposite him and see if that helps. There's a little bit of stutter, too. We gotta do it quickly. Oh, he follows me! Oh, good. I'm not doing well here. This is great. Hope you're enjoying my floundering around for you. It's God, jeez. You know what? That's good. That's great. This is. Yep. Okay, back to the show.